Hey guys, today we're going to be checking out the new Sideshow Collectibles Star Wars Luke Skywalker Rogue Group Snowspeeder Pilot. A thank you to Sideshow Collectibles for providing this reviewing sample. Luke Skywalker stands 12 inches tall, and he's expected to release May to June 2017. He gets himself a standard hexagonal display stand that we've seen with other Sideshow Collectible pieces. On the underside, we've got Star Wars. Nothing really on the top, and I'm surprised actually that they didn't give extra additional pieces like we've seen before with the other 6-scale figures from Sideshow, especially, more importantly, the Star Wars stuff. They could have attached like little side pieces here of like snow from the planet Hoth, for example. But no, he just gets a standard black hexagonal display stand as his displaying options. For this figure's outfit, he gets a flight suit, he gets a cold weather flight jacket, and he gets himself the flak vest. And I think the fabric that they used is really nice on Luke here. You can feel like there's a real considerable padding here to the actual flight jacket. All this nice seam work that they've done on the sides here. I don't know, it feels as if they've added additional padding in there just to kind of beef the jacket up, especially around the shoulder portion here. The jacket doesn't look like it is removable. I mean, there's a zipper in there, but I wouldn't really entertain the idea of taking all of this stuff off to get to perhaps the flight suit that's underneath all of that. What you do, though, get access to for the flight suit is some nice pockets, which appear to be real pockets there on his pants. He's got a couple of them going on there. And a couple of pockets at the top there. Nice detailing also on his boots, which I like really all the outfit. Even if you like look at the areas of the pockets and the flaps, like they've added some, just a little bit of brown coloring to it, just a slight discoloration. It really looks like it's not a clean looking uniform. He's probably used it several times over. And he's got some signal flares there also in his, right above his boots, which if you can move the pockets out of the way, they are removable. And they run all the way around the perimeter of his leg. Around his jacket, he's got himself a belt with a clip that's eventually going to be housing the lightsaber when we have a look at that. But the pockets are pretty neat because they're all magnetized. Every last one of them. You can't open them, and they've got a magnet closure. Some of them do have a little bit of extra padding in there just to beef them up, but it appears, though, that all the actual pockets do open and close. He's got his holster on the back there that's going to hold his blaster. That's also magnetized. And we just move his arm out of the way. Again, these flaps here magnetized. They can open and shut. I suppose you could probably put something in them, but I just appreciate the fact that they're real pockets rather than just something that looks, but you can't really open them. Do really like that you can actually open and close them. On the front, you've got your life support unit that has the straps that run around the flak vest. It looks actually like the straps could be removed. Like, it doesn't look like they've been sculpted in there. It looks like it's real, like a real actual strap that's been fed through. Nice aging there on the vest. Kind of more of like an off-white, almost borderline cream color. Some nice aging there also on the jacket itself. It's this little areas of detail that I do really appreciate. It's when you can stop, you can look at the figure, and you can see that they would have gone in and put some extra care. Like all these little areas here have this kind of little dirt that's been applied. Just little straps, little strips of fabric running down his sleeves. Not to mention the hands or gloves themselves. The gloves have some nice aged dirt covered over them. Little comm link there. Like, the gloves look nice, dirty, and used. And all the gloves actually that he comes included with have that same weared away, worn look to them. Out of box, his default look has him with the helmet on. complete with visor and comlink on the front. Comlink does feel like it's a more durable plastic, but because of its thin nature, you'd be a little careful of that. I did actually manage to get the visor up on his helmet, but I will say getting it up and then trying to get it back down can be difficult. So, you know, you can open it technically, but for that there's like a little lip right on the end of the visor. Kind of have to find it easier to take it with your thumbs, and very carefully you can pull that back down. But the last thing you want to do is you don't want to be applying a lot of force against it in case you pop the actual visor off, or you push it in too much that you're just not going to be able to do anything with it. Like the jacket and his outfit, he's got some nice aging there going on in the helmet. It was formerly kind of like a cranberry red, and you can see just over the course of time how it's gotten dirty, covered just like, you know, gunpowder and just all explosions and other things that would have aged the helmet to what you see right now. Some nice coloring here on some yellows and some formerly yellows, because basically everything on the helmet looks dirtied quite like that. And even if you tip the helmet back, you can see actually the inner workings of what I guess the hat or the helmet that they would wear, and then they would put the helmet on top of that. It's done really nicely. And even though he's got so much extra stuff over top of his face, the profile for Luke Skywalker still is definitely there. On the eyes, the mouth. I like also how the mouth is slightly open too. He also gets an unhelmeted version of Luke's head. Nice sculpting there on the hair. It looks like there's about 3 or 4 different browns that they've made use of here on the hair itself. Beautiful looking sculpt. I like the eyes. You can see even the little birthmarks there. Mark Hamill's face. The eyes are done really well. Like, it's one thing, Sideshow Collectibles, when it comes to Luke Skywalker figures, I've never been disappointed with their releases, whether it be like the Tauntaun riding Hoth Luke, or this Luke right here. Just a beautiful looking head sculpt. It's also got more of a warmer tone to it as opposed to a pale flesh tone. And there's the undersocket there where you would attach it. You can get this guy's head off. One of the things I do find, not necessarily for the unhelmeted version of Luke, but sometimes taking the helmet version of Luke's head off, the ball joint has come off a couple of times. So just be aware of that. There's the difference in between the two faces. It's basically the same face, I guess, really, except for the fact that the mouth on the helmeted version has a slight opening to it where you can even see his teeth. This one here has the more closed mouth. And we can go ahead and just attach that back into the ball joint here of the neck. The unhelmeted version of Luke looks really good, but you know what? For all the unhelmeted versions of Luke that we have received, we don't really get very often helmeted versions of Luke Skywalker's face. So I think in an instance such as this, I probably would be more inclined to display him with this head rather than this head here. But I love, of course, always options. When you give us interchangeable heads where you can mix and match them, it gives us certainly a variety of ways to display them. For included accessories, he gets himself a pair of completely closed-fisted hands. He gets a relaxed pair of hands. The other relaxed hand I just happen to have in the socket there. As I was talking about, you can see how each one of the gloves all have a very dirtied, worn look to them. He has a force hand, force gestured hand. Then he has a series of just gripping hands, one's for the lightsaber and one for holding. He actually does have a trigger hand as well for the blaster. I just actually happen to have it in the socket right now. But he comes with a total of 9 hands. Now I did notice though, in the prototype images, as well as what's being advertised, it seems as if he does also come with a pair of ungloved hands and a bunch, like a pair of flight gloves that are for holding. So you can have him as if he's holding the gloves in his hand. This figure didn't actually come with that, and I can't 100% guarantee whether he will come with that or not. What I only received, though, was the gloved hands only, which is perfectly fine because I wouldn't necessarily display him with ungloved hands as my personal preference. But I did notice, though, that the prototype images do show him holding gloves in his hand, which he actually does not have. One of the other things that he does come included with is his trusty lightsaber, painted very nicely here in silver. A little bit of the gold there as well. And of course he's got the lightsaber beam, which lightsaber beams as a whole have come a long way. Rather, in the beginning they used to just be kind of like just a rod of blue, in this case for Luke. But now they've actually gone in and they're sculpting in this nice texture work that starts from basically like the hilt all the way up to a point rather than just a rounded off end here. Now the lightsaber actually doesn't fit into the hilt as it is. What you need to do is you need to take this piece off right here. And it's as simple, I say as simple, but you just kind of get your fingernail underneath that and you can pull it right out. It's not a complete circle when you put it in. In fact, it's like a half circle. So when you put your lightsaber in, it's going to be the same thing, a half circle rather than a full circle. And that slots right back where what you're then getting, though, is you're getting the beam attached to a similar component, but it's all one piece rather than trying to get that in. Because really, that would be such a small hole. At least you have a more, you know, fully established beam here. When we were looking at the utility belt as well, you can take the beam off. There's a little hook here, a little loop, that sits on the hook of the utility belt. Luke also gets a DL-44 blaster, painted very nicely in black, with the brown for the handle, and a slight gunmetal off color for the actual tip of the blaster. And it also just so happens that because I have Luke with his trigger hand in place, you can see that the finger fits very easily through and attaches the trigger of the blaster. For Luke's posability, he has a ball joint in the head. And as you saw when we removed the head, he has a ball joint that runs into the socket of the neck. And then he also has a ball joint that runs into the socket of the head. So by virtue of that, he can essentially hinge his head two ways, hinging at the bottom and then hinging at the top, so you get some extra motion and movement there. His arms hinge out, and his flight jacket doesn't hinder the figure as much as one would think. It seems to still be fairly easy to move his arms forward and back and out. He has a swivel in the bicep, what appears to be a double hinge in the elbow, rotation in the hand. One of the other things too I want to mention is when you rotate the hand, and sometimes when you take the hands off, the gloves, the ends of the gloves will sometimes fall off in the process, but they just fit very easily back onto the flight jacket. And then you can attach the hand back into place, which sometimes actually can be a little bit more difficult. It's only being that the flight jacket bunches as much as it does, bunches especially right around the glove, that becomes a little easier. You kind of just hold the jacket back. He has an upper torso ball joint as well as a waist swivel, a forward, back, and out motion on the legs. Now the legs are more restricted, I find, than the arms themselves. The legs do get a little tight when you move them forward. When you move them back, out doesn't seem to be as nearly the problem as, you know, the arms seem to be. He's got a double hinge on the knee, and then he's got a what looks to be like a peg in the foot. So an up and down motion, rotation, and you also get your ankle pivot there as well. The Luke Skywalker Rogue Group Snowspeeder pilot is currently on a wait list over at Sideshow Collectibles. So if you guys want to add this guy to your collection, head over to Sideshow Collectibles now and get your name on the wait list. As soon as there's stock available on this guy, they're going to ship him right out to you. Your price point on the Luke Skywalker is $269.99. You get a good amount of accessories. I like the two interchangeable heads. And though, truthfully, I do like the unhelmeted version of Luke Skywalker's head. I think I'm going to gravitate a little bit more towards having him displayed with the helmet, just because we don't see very often a helmeted Luke Skywalker. A great looking figure, fantastic looking sculpt. I really think they did a good job on the wardrobe itself by incorporating the flight jacket and just all the other stuff, all the other goodies that are on this figure. It's such a great looking piece, and he's going to look great with the other Luke Skywalkers on your display. Today we were having a look though at the Sideshow Collectibles Luke Skywalker Rogue Group Snowspeeder Pilot. Certainly if you haven't had a chance to subscribe to this channel, what are you waiting for? Click that subscribe button down below and you're good to go. As well, if you are a fan of Star Wars, there's a playlist for you. And if you're a fan of Sideshow Collectibles and 6-scale figures, there's a playlist there for you as well for your viewing pleasure. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.